Sony has shat out another "We hear your concerns" in response to the ongoing disquiet concerning Fortnite and Sony's commitment to keeping your Epic Games account locked on a PS4, even if you unlink it from the PS4 version of Fortnite, because the bastards. This is convenient for me because I was going to do a video with no news in particular, just reminding you all that this is still an ongoing thing, because corporations rely on people getting bored and losing touch with the news so that they can just keep doing the bullshit they were doing without anybody calling them out on it, since just like with everything else I cover, people eventually get apathetic when you cover a problem that's still a problem and they get aggressive about it. But anyway, Sony Interactive Entertainment America CEO Sean Layden has addressed the ongoing controversy because some people, like my art director Justin, are still absolutely keeping it up. Seriously, he has replied to every tweet PlayStation does with something about Fortnite. It's actually quite majestic. So Eurogamer asked Layden what the deal was and whether there are any plans to finally stop this gated bullshit, and here's what Layden said. "We're hearing it. We're looking at a lot of possibilities. You can imagine that the circumstances around that affect a lot more than just one game. I'm confident we'll get to a solution which will be understood and accepted by our gaming community while at the same time supporting our business." Yeah, just turn it off, mate. Mate, your whole thing about locking the account to your PS4, turn that off. Mate. Here, mate, turn that off. You know what you should do? Turn that off, mate. Here, mate, Mr. Layden, matey boy, turn it off. Stop your bullshit. Just quit it. Quit your bullshit. Imagine you got some bullshit in your hand, right? Just imagine it. There is some bullshit for you to look at and smell. Just quit that. Mate. Now, I'm sure they'll say it's not quite so easy as pressing a button, but, well, companies have said it's not so easy as pressing a button before, and then they pushed a button. And frankly, I don't care. I don't give a shit how hard or easy it is. I don't care how you do it. Just stop doing the really crappy thing that people en masse want you to stop, you fucking turd serpents. All of this, we're hearing it, we hear your concerns bullshit, that needs to be discredited because enough companies do that now, and it rings so hollow if they're not actually doing anything, and they show no real plans. No, like, Sony's had time for this, right? They've had plenty of time. If they're still just looking at it without anything resembling even a penciled-in idea of what they might do about it, then they're not actually looking at it and they don't actually give a shit, and they don't really hear your concerns. Nevertheless, while the pressure has dipped, because that's just what happens to pressure, especially when big companies are involved, it is nice to see that at least a good group of people are still hammering on about it and that Sony has to answer these questions in interviews. And I think, in fact, anybody who interviews a Sony executive, as, you know, a PlayStation executive, of course. I mean, if you talk to the phone, if you talk to the Xperia team, they ain't going to be able to help you. But if you're interviewing someone from PlayStation, that should be among your questions. Fortnite unlocked when? Take the chains off it, stop holding it hostage, stop ransoming accounts, especially third-party accounts. You little bollocks. And people should call them in interviews as well, little bollockses. Be like, Sony, why y'all's little bollocks, though? Mate. I think eventually, though, Sony is going to have to relent. They are going to have to allow some sort of crossplay eventually. Whether it'll be in the near future or far-flung from here remains to be seen. But the pressure people are putting on PlayStation, not to mention the popularity of the games involved, you know, we're talking games like Fortnite, games like Rocket League, games with big followings and huge communities that are playing together now on all the other systems. Sony is really left in the lurch here. And the market speaking, it's got to be popular, otherwise game companies wouldn't put in the effort to make crossplay happen, so fucking do it, Sony. Your little bollockses. It's gotta happen eventually, because right now it's untenable, illogical, and short-sighted. They're playing for time, but eventually they're gonna have to deal with the modern world. If Nintendo, of all companies, can do it, then Sony certainly can.